So I have been playing essentially nothing but Cyberpunk 2077. Put a
Nice.
lot, a lot of time in that this week, and gotta say, uh, man, the game. It took a little bit to completely win me over,
Mm.
but I love this game so much. It's we know I don't have to state all the reasons why. We know it's not a perfect game in any way, but it there's just something like I think when it started really clicking with me, you start to fall in love with the world and the characters and everything. So what I thought I would do is actually do a little bit of a thing where I tell you guys four things that I loved about the game,
hmm
and actually four things I hated about the game. Now, hate's a bit of a strong word. Some of these are like I strongly disliked, but to give I guess a bit more context where I'm up to, I've actually finished the game.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
So yeah, so
Like
damn.
actual ending,
The
the
main
ending, and everything.
story.
yeah, so I finished the game. I finished essentially all the major side quests and everything.
Whoa.
What?
Man,
Um,
I've been playing this for 70 hours and I'm not even
Oh,
close.
and
This
you
is
just
nuts.
started. You just got it.
And you just started, yeah.
yeah, so basically, the
Yeah.
only side stuff I've got left is when you're out in the world, sometimes it will trigger a side quest that, like just by talking to a
Ah,
random
yeah.
NPC.
Yeah.
So there's likely going to be some of that stuff that I haven't seen, which I might seek out a bit.
hmm
And I've only done about 50% of like the open world content in terms of like the scan hustles and the gigs. They're kind of when I say finish all the side quests, I'm talking about the ones that are like the under the side quest panel, like for the major NPCs and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you
But
have those and then you have the police ones and whatnot that don't really fall under that bucket, I think.
yeah,
They're
and
just little things you do.
yeah, and the gigs, and
Mm.
one of the quests is, hey, you got to take out the cyber psychos all around the map. Like I haven't finished all those particular ones, so I'm kind of 50% of the way towards that stuff. But yeah, no, I finished it yesterday. Got to the end, and now I'm actually gonna play. There's like multiple potential ways you can go there, so I want to kind of experience the rest of that. So I've got some strategic saves there to kind of to see how that goes,
Are there
plays out.
strategic saves to experience it or strategic saves because there's achievements associated to
Both.
You
different
know what
endings?
the answer to that is.
Both.
You know what the answer to that
I know.
is.
I just thought I'd ask it anyway.
It's both because
It's the only thing that matters.
to explain it would be to spoil it. So
Okay.
all there's let's just say there's substantial different ways to go there.
Cool.
So I want to see what that plays out as well. But yeah, in terms of the stuff I love and hate, so I'll go one love and one hate. So I love the world,
Mm.
the detail that goes into this, and it's such a massive, believable city that's layered on top of each other in such an honestly impressive way. I don't think I've seen a game kind of allow you to essentially climb on any single building and keep going vertically for ages, and there's quests that are layered on top of each other. It's just wild what they've done, and I can see what they mean about having issues with the game streaming on the older platforms because of how they've designed the world. But the actual, yeah, like it's feels weird to say, but once it starts click, like it feels like a real world in a lot of ways, and I think that's just such a testament to what they've done with the game.
Hmm.
In terms of one thing I hate, I got to get it out at the start. It's the bugs. Like this game, while it's generally stable with the current patch that I've played it on, it gets really glitchy. And I said last week that I haven't really experienced
Mm.
many. I started experiencing a lot of
And we
those
should
bugs and glitches.
ask, even though we know what the answer is, what are you playing it on?
I'm playing this on Xbox Series X,
Mm.
so
Which
that
seems to
game
be more stable than PlayStation 5 as a platform, from what I hear from everyone.
it runs like I honestly don't think I've seen it. I haven't had any noticeable drops below 60 frames on Series X, and it looks really, really good. Outside of I'll get to the graphics pretty soon, but the in terms of the glitches, I started hearing glitches where the NPC audio just stops working completely. The audio dialogue, like whether or not it's a phone call or you're speaking to someone on the street, and for a lot of these glitches, the fix is generally, hey, save the game and reload it, and it works. There's times when that doesn't work and you've got to save, restart the game entirely, load up your save, and it fixes it. But this is the kind of stuff that, I mentioned, it feels like the game's kind of held together by duct tape. And a lot of that is just, honestly, if you want to play this game at the moment, like, it's stable, but you got to have some safety saves just in case. But my recommendation in general around this is you wait, 100% wait on this game until the patch it even more. So another thing I love is the graphics. This game is just fucking gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
It's so good. Like, the use of color, the weather effects, like this, like the sandstorms, the rainy nights, the lighting, they just absolutely nail it. Now when you start looking up close, the facade starts to kind of disappear a little bit in terms of the textures, at least on console. Or like you'll be looking at a plate of food and it's very rough. But when you take it as, I guess, the whole package of the scene that's being presented to you, the game just looks amazing. The art design is fantastic. So I think they nailed it there. Now, the next thing I hate is the inventory. Oh my god. This game, in my opinion, needs a massive overhaul in its inventory system.
Yeah.
Like The Witcher 3 eventually got. I don't know, Mike, if you agree with that one.
No, I do agree with it. I'm trying to actually remember the original Witcher 3 inventory, because all I remember is the revised one, which was good. But yeah, this one, I find myself constantly having to clear it. And there's certain things that there's no way to, like, for example, quickly mark something as junk, I think, and then just get rid of. So it's
100%,
little things
100%.
like that, yeah. You end up just constantly having to manage your inventory because you pick too much shit up.
That junk, not being able to junk and bulk disassemble or bulk sell, is one of the biggest flaws this game has outside of the bugs to me. Because, as you said, you're constantly picking stuff up, and this game allows you to pick anything up. There's no, like, oh, you stole this kind of stuff. So you are always looting without any care, really. So you start to get lots and lots of stuff, and at some point I stopped looting all the enemies unless I saw it was like a rare item. I just stopped looting them because I'm like, I just don't want to go through and have to disassemble stuff one by one, because you'll go through disassembly and then I end up disassembling something by accident that I didn't want to, because it's weird as well. You do something and it like flickers on the
because it changes the order. It
it's
refreshes the order and stuff, and then sometimes you can screw it up if you're not careful.
There's a lot of work they need to do in the inventory. But I guess the third thing I love is I love the story and the characters in this game.
Oh, really good.
It definitely got a lot of Witcher vibes in how it builds out a strong cast of characters that you actually grow to care for. Now, they're not all of them are great. Some of the smaller NPCs for some of the side missions are like, okay, they're kind of very much caricatures, but I mean, this game plays on that stuff. But I think characters like Judy in particular, I think I love how she's written and where the story goes with her. But as for the plot, man, I love this. It goes places that not many other games go, and the thing with the main quest, this might be one of my favorite main quests I played in RPG.
Whoa, okay, that's a big claim.
Yeah. I think the way that this plays out is fantastic. There's it's artificial, as in it's not real, but it feels like there's a sense of urgency to the main quest that makes you want to actually do it, unlike a game like Skyrim. It actually feels like, I need to get to this stuff at some point because it's important to the narrative. And I guess for characters as well I actually think Keanu is absolutely brilliant. Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand. I actually think he's great.
He is, but what do you find of his voice acting?
It's Keanu Reeves. I mean, he always has that monotone thing, but I like it. I think this might be my favorite performance of his.
Oh wow! See, that's really fascinating, because to me his voice acting is actually probably the weakest voice acting in the game out of all the other characters. Like,
I liked it. I really liked it.
It wasn't bad. It's just that it felt the weakest, if that makes sense. It felt like it, to me, it was the most disjointed voice, if that makes sense, where I'm like, it sounds super monotone sometimes. I get that it's part of the character, but at the same time, it feels like it was reading lines sometimes.
Look, there's times when that definitely happens, but he has a lot of dialogue, so
A
there's
lot,
a
yeah.
lot there's a lot of chances for those
Yeah.
misses. But I think in general, I was expecting it to be, oh, it's Keanu Reeves, and he sold me on the character. I think it's really really good. It doesn't feel shoehorned in or
Mm.
anything. It's really really good. So I guess the next one, I hate the open world content. Specifically the NCPD scanner missions dotted around the map. They just feel like absolute filler to me.
Yeah.
And after like the 50th one you've done, I was just getting bored with it, and I've still got to go and do the rest of them if I want to get 100%. And it helps to level your
If you want to
skills
get
up and stuff.
100%.
Yeah, yes, I know. That's why I have to always say that last part of that sentence just for you. Some of the gigs are cool, while others are just like, hey, get into the building, kill a dude, and get out. And it's like, but some of them are decent. But those filler missions, those like NPC scan hustles and stuff, I'm not a fan of those. For the fourth and last thing, I love the controls in this game. For a developer that's never had first-person shooter elements or drive mechanics in their games, I think they did an awesome job with it.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's really good.
it's not perfect, but as a package of how your character moves around, especially when you get access to like a double jump and you can climb up in buildings and stuff, combine it with the shooting and the driving, I think I love the controls in this game. So, but the last thing I hate, oh man, and this is getting into some very RPG nitty gritty in terms of like
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people
We love it.
probably won't have as much of an issue with this as I do, but essentially the quest tracking system and the phone messaging stuff, they're very related. I swear the amount of times I would track a quest, I'd get a phone message from a character that I can't control when that timing happens, and it would automatically start tracking the quest that's related to that character, and then I'd have to bloody go back to start tracking the quest again, especially towards the end of the game when there's like only one major quest in my log. It's like I'm constantly grappling and fighting against the game system, and the reason why it's so annoying is because you have to select your quest to track where it is, the waypoint on the map, and then suddenly it's like I start walking towards, and I'm like, oh my god, it changed my quest again to this one. It pisses me off so much. And with the phone messaging system, I mentioned Cyber Psycho missions, which is like open world missions that you can do. Just to complete those quests, you have to like go 2 levels deep into a phone messaging system to be able to reply that I could figure out anyway. And it just felt so clunky and unnecessary. And I'd prefer if they just did that stuff automatically like any other game. I don't think it adds anything to the game, the fact that you have to go and manually reply to messages.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't think the replies. Oh, actually, I don't know. Did the replies? Because there's certain parts where you can choose the reply, and I was never sure if that alters the quest or anything like that. I suspect it probably doesn't, but I've never tested. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whether you're a prick or you're a nice guy in a reply kind of thing.
I'd rather lose that element of choice to gain
Same.
it not being frustrated by it.
Yeah,
if that
especially if
makes
it's
sense.
artificial choice and it
Yeah.
doesn't really make a difference.
So-
I kind of had that a little bit, but to be honest, I don't know. I never really. Maybe the way I was doing the quests and the way I was picking them, I didn't feel it as much.
Man, it happened all the time with me. I'd start tracking something, then suddenly it's tracking the main quest again
Okay.
every single time. And it's also like selecting the quest and tracking it are 2 separate buttons. So it's just
Okay, maybe it's just easier on PC.
there's so many just like things there that would just make the experience so much better. But I guess overall, I absolutely love this game. One of the best games I've played in ages. Just wish that it didn't run like crap, especially for people on the base consoles. Like, I really feel sorry for people that have a base PS4 or a base Xbox One that were looking forward to this game and got pushed away by it because there's a lot to love there, but they've shot themselves in the foot. So
Oh, a year from now, this is going to be an amazing experience, I reckon.
But I
give or
don't think it
take.
will ever work on the base consoles.
No, not on the base consoles. No, definitely not. As Swinny said, when you really look at, people think, oh, they're making excuses when they say, oh, there's all these interwoven systems and it's really hard to get them to all work correctly and the performance hit and all that stuff. There are a lot of things happening concurrently that you can kind of see why it would struggle on old gen. Wait, it's old gen now, isn't it?
Yeah, previous gen. I guess.
Previous gen, yeah. So, again, it's a whole side story. We've covered it already.
Yeah, to death.
But if you happen to get it on the new generation and on PC, it's fantastic. But if you can hold off, like we've said before, give it another year. You'll still have an amazing experience now, but I think once they fix a lot of these things up, you're going to have a really, really cool experience with this game. It's incredible.
I came 5 minutes away from buying this game. So, to cut, into the bargain bin a little bit, this game is just plummeting in price. It's selling in Australia now for $34 on Amazon.
So like what,
Australia.
$25
US, yeah, with tax. That's just crazy. And that's Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. That is so cheap for a game that just came out. What was it, November 2020?
Yeah, December.
Was it actually? Yeah, it was December, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's also so insane that it came out. It was one of the latest AAA games I've ever heard of coming out in December. It's got to be maybe in the history of gaming, the latest in the year to release. Games almost never release in December of that caliber. So I was so close, but then I'm like, what am I doing? I feel like it's still ways away from being refined, and I doubt it's going to go up in price from this point. It's a bit of a sad story. And I just worry, I don't know about the studio again, if they don't get it, they just won't get it working on the Xbox One and the PS4. And you feel like they're just waiting for more people to get those consoles and then just move on and forget about it. I feel like that's almost a strategy now. So talking about something that we, Cyberpunk, we've talked to death. Let's talk about a topic we haven't at all talked to death on the podcast.